Hi world, it's Holly with Holly's Hobby again, and I wanted to show you my next inspirational picture. I had a good family friend named Max who, when he goes to Panama City, Florida, this is his view outside his window and he wants to recreate it. So that's my point of inspiration. And then so far I've got the clouds painted in, and then the horizon line with the ocean and the sand. So stick around with me and we'll see if we can't get this thing to look identical. Okay, we have got the background done. We're just going to go in and add with a touch of brown a couple little of sandbars in here. And I looked at the picture for a point of reference so we know where to put them. So I'm going to draw a couple of those in. I've just got a little bit of inky brown and a 1-inch brush. I'm just kind of freehanding it. Can't really do anything wrong. You can even take your finger and blend it in a little bit. I really like this one, kind of jagged. I think there's going to be a plant right there, so we'll cover some of that. I have sketched a little bit of it in, so I loosely sketched it in. So we're going to go ahead and even add a little bit more interest and turn the brush a few times, stipple it. Just whatever you think Mother Nature would genuinely give a sandy beach. Okay, we know that there's a hill there, according to the picture. And then there's another hill over here on this side. So I'm going to draw an undershadow and prepare the painting for that. I believe there was another shadow where the light source is up here. So we're going to go on this side. There we go. All right. We're going to tap those in a little bit, and then I'm going to add a couple of plants and shrubbery. All right. I'm going to show you the beauty of a little bit of watercolor. It's just simple black watercolor, and we're going to go in with a couple of drizzles or drips and stipple it in, just a quick effect, basically just touching the canvas. And it's going to create a structure for some shadows under the undergrowth for the plants and foliage. And then we're going to build on top of that with a little bit of darker green, and then even lighter green. Okay, it's dried a little bit. Now I'm going to come in with the dark green. And we're going to get started here on the middle of the painting, since it's the big focal point. It's the only point of foliage we have. All right, as you can see, we've added the dark green. I'm going to let that go ahead and dry for a little bit. And there's 9 fence posts, I think it is, that's on here that I've already drawn in, sketched in. So I'm going to go ahead and paint those real fast with a little bit of burnt umber, which is kind of like a charcoal gray with a little bit of brown. And I put them in the exact same placement that the reference picture was. All right, we have 1, 2, and there's 3 across let's see, 1 right here. I got my paint really good and dry and scratchy because I want that post to be textured. I didn't want it runny. And then I'm going to go in to add a little bit more brown here in a moment where the sun reaches it, lighten it up. There's 2 more fence posts a little bit further out. Let's see, the end of the grass right here. And 1 more next to it that's a little bit shorter. Okay, and then we had some up front here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and one of them was falling over. Let's see. Gotta do everything in layers on this one. There is a kind of oil that you can put, like Jetson oil, that you can put on your canvas and make it absorb the paint a little bit more. But I wanted this one to be gritty because of the sand texture. And then I'm going to actually go up, speaking of texture, I'm going to actually go up and put painting texture on the ocean where the waves crash, and have it be 3-dimensional. So I'm excited about that. So 1, that good and squared off. 2, another 1. Looks like a windstorm came and got some of these off kilter, didn't it? 3. Down here on the end, there was one fallen over in the picture. I'm going to go right about here, leaning out. Okay, perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's one more that's cut off a bit out of the frame. And I think that's an accurate depiction. Perfect. All right, all of our fence posts have a little bit of brown trudged over the burnt umber. Now I'm going to go back, and since our light source is coming from this side, the dark shadow is going to be on that side. So I'm going to paint a little bit of shadow on each one, just taking some black, solid, no water added, just dry, and dragging it down the side of the posts, like so. Maybe a little bit over the top to round it out. The ones in the picture are squared, so I don't want to go too round. A little bit of an impression of the shadow there. This actually goes pretty fast once you get a good plan. In fact, I just tried to click, I messed up and I tried to click the undo button, and you could tell I work on schematics on it beforehand to try and make it go more efficient. I like to lock it in and get my templates ready and then sketched on, and then that way when I get ready to paint, it's just a much faster process. There's no guesswork. That's if I'm doing something for somebody else. If I'm just freehanding, which is my very favorite thing to do, I don't do any of that. I just go wherever the mood hits me. That's what I suggest. That's my favorite. But this was a special one for a special person named Max. So we're going to try and get it as close to the picture as possible. All right. We're going to come in with a bit of brighter green and run across the top where the sunlight hits it the most. Just dab it in there a little bit. I had an unhappy little accident. I went to put the green on my palette here on my plate and put a whole blob on the floor. And although the floor in this room is painted concrete, that's not bright green. So I had to clean that up. It happens. All right, we're going to do a lot of filling in right here on this bush. All right, we don't want it to be all uniform because nothing in the wild grows straight and perfect. All right, this looks good. All right, I'm going to stop. Actually, I'm going to do one bit right there. It's a little too regimented for me. Let's do round it out a little bit where that jagged is. Okay, I like that a lot. So we're going to call that good. Okay, so we got all of our shrubbery. Let me go back and start adding the grasses, and then we'll work on the waves. I went off camera and did the 4 lines for the wire fence. I'm a little bit nervous about doing straight lines on camera. I'm pretty shaky right now, so I went ahead and did that without you guys seeing it. All right, I'm ready to do my grasses, and I want to do it exactly, so I'm going to replicate it by looking at the picture up here. So I got it, my paint palette good and inky green, and I'm just going to start adding the base for the big tall strokes first. Good and wispy. Just flick your brush. Usually works out better than just trying too hard. Just enjoy this part. The harder you try, I think the less you try and you just enjoy it, the better it turns out. All right, so that's the back part for it. And then we're going to go ahead over here and do the same thing. And then we're going to come in with some different other shades of green to bring some contrast in. All right. I'm going to go ahead and do this through the whole canvas. I really don't have a lot of chatter to speak through for all that, and I think it'd be boring. So I'm going to finish this off camera and I'll come back. All right, as you can see, I've got some grasses started. I went ahead and loaded up a fan brush, and I'm going to touch them down at the base so that they don't just look like the blades are floating in the air. Put them on the heels, all around. Little fan brush is one of the funner brushes. I really like it. I even use it in my makeup to put my highlighter on my cheek. Alright, so we've come to the place where we're going to use our texture foam. And I've just added some water on a paper plate and added some texture with the water and got it good and squishy. So we're going to apply it with our fingers to the canvas, directly straight on. And I just put the reference picture above so I'll know where to add the spray for the water. This is going to take me a little bit. I want to be accurate. So I'm going to go off camera and I'll join you guys back in a bit. Alright, so we are to the point where we're putting texture on the canvas. So I've just mixed up water with some texture and let it foam up. Got a little fork out to mash it. And I'm going to take a Q-tip and add it to the painting wherever it is on the reference picture. So we have a crest of a wave right here. We're going to dab that on there. Oops, sorry. There we go. All right. We're going to dab a little bit more. We're going to say scratch that and use our fingers because it's not grabbing. All right, we're going to go in and add a couple of tall sprigs with tips on the end that are a little bit puffy. I bet they're cattails, but I couldn't really tell from the picture. And we're going to add them all over. Sporadically. Some tall, some short. All right. I'm not going to put them down here in the central part of the picture because my point of reference doesn't have them, but they definitely do there. I also added one more coat to the barbed wire lines that I think I need to go over one more time because it's kind of fading in. I'm going to dip into some blue here and finish out this horizon water line. Just basically dip it in dark blue, cobalt blue, and take it straight across. The further things away they are, the further away things are, remember, the lighter they are. So we're going to put a little bit of light blue on there. Okay. And then in contrast, I had built up the waves and I let it dry overnight with the texture foam. And I'm going to go over that right now with some white paint. And we're just going to lightly touch it on there. And paint every bit of that texture back with white paint. Just to give it a little bit more brighter pop. Add a little bit, a couple of splashes where it gets out of hand there. I did use a touch of hairspray to kind of seal that. All right, and my final touch, I'm going to, dab my paper towel, which I just knotted up in a knot, dip it in some white paint, and you're going to stipple it onto your paint board. I definitely had to have a picture to look out for this because I can get out of hand on clouds real fast. But I like them, what are those called? Cirrus clouds, or maybe it's cumulus clouds? Cumulus clouds. I like them good and puffy. I already had a base laid down of the white with the blue spray paint on top, and then the white spray paint on top of the blue, so it's layered. So this just adds that last layer of definition where you can deviate where the clouds actually are. This one has a little bit of a jagged edge. So I'm going to go back and do a circle technique with while I pounce it with my paper towel. Just kind of clean up the rough edges a little bit. All right. I want to remind you where I started from, which is this point of reference. And then this is pretty much it. I'll give you a last final screenshot here in a minute, but I'm going to sign it and call it good. There we have our final shot of our beach scene that we didn't even have to get sand in our shoes for. So I really want to send a shout out to Max and thank him for letting me have this opportunity to paint his family's vacation view, and hopefully it'll bless him with many more memories to come. And thank you all for hanging out with Holly's Hobby. Until next time.